In our last video, we saw the relentless plagues God sent upon Egypt, each one a powerful demonstration of his might. Yet Pharaoh's heart remained stubbornly hard. 9 times the Lord afflicted the land, from turning the Nile to blood to shrouding the sun in darkness. But now, the stage is set for the final, most devastating plague, an event that will shatter Egypt's pride and finally break Pharaoh's will, leading to the dramatic exodus of the children of Israel. The Lord spoke to Moses, "I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. After that, he will let you go. In fact, he will drive you out completely." And so, the instructions were given. The people of Israel were to ask their Egyptian neighbors for articles of silver and gold. The Lord had made the Egyptians look favorably upon them, and Moses himself was held in high regard by Pharaoh's officials and the people. And Moses delivered the Lord's solemn warning, "About midnight I will go throughout Egypt. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh who sits on the throne to the firstborn of the female slave who is at her hand mill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. There will be loud wailing throughout Egypt, worse than there has ever been or ever will be again. But among the Israelites, not even a dog will bark at any person or animal." This would be the ultimate sign, a clear distinction between the Egyptians and the people of Israel. Moses, filled with a burning anger, left Pharaoh's presence. But the Lord had told Moses, "Pharaoh will refuse to listen to you, so that my wonders may be multiplied in Egypt." And just as he said, after all the wonders Moses and Aaron had performed, the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites leave. Then came the command that would define them as a people forever. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "This month is to be for you the first month of your year. On the 10th day, each family was to take a lamb, a year-old male without defect. They were to care for it until the 14th day, when the whole community of Israel would slaughter their lambs at twilight. Then they were to take some of the blood and put it on the sides and tops of the doorframes of the houses where they ate the lambs. That same night they were to eat the meat roasted over the fire, along with bitter herbs and bread made without yeast. They were commanded to eat it in haste, with their cloaks tucked into their belts, their sandals on their feet, and their staff in their hand. This was the Lord's Passover. For on that same night, the Lord declared, "I will pass through Egypt and strike down every firstborn, both people and animals, and I will bring judgment on all the gods of Egypt. I am the Lord. The blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are, and when I see the blood, I will pass over you. No destructive plague will touch you when I strike Egypt." This day was to be a lasting ordinance, a memorial feast for generations to come. And so, at midnight, the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt. A loud cry rose from every corner of the land, for there was not a house without someone dead. That very night, Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "Up, leave my people, you and the Israelites. Go, worship the Lord as you have requested. Take your flocks and herds and go. And also bless me." The Egyptians, fearing they would all die, urged the people to leave quickly, giving them the silver, gold, and clothing they asked for. And so, the Israelites, after 430 years of sojourning, journeyed from Ramesses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides women and children, a vast multitude leaving the land of their bondage. They left in such a hurry that their dough had no yeast, but Pharaoh's hardened heart would not remain broken. When word reached the king that the people had fled, he and his officials had a change of heart. "What have we done? We have let the Israelites go and have lost their services." He had his chariot made ready and took his army with him. 600 of the best chariots, along with all the other chariots of Egypt, with officers over all of them. The Israelites, now encamped by the Red Sea, looked up and saw the Egyptians marching after them. They were terrified and cried out to the Lord. They turned on Moses. "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die? It would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than to die in the wilderness." But Moses answered the people, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Egyptians you see today, you will never see again. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea, to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through the sea on dry ground. The angel of God and the pillar of cloud, which had been leading them, moved and stood behind them, coming between the armies of Israel and Egypt. Throughout the night, the cloud brought darkness to the one side and light to the other, so neither went near the other. Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. The Egyptians pursued them, all of Pharaoh's horses and chariots and horsemen into the middle of the sea. But in the morning watch, the Lord looked down from the pillar of fire and cloud at the Egyptian army and threw it into confusion. He jammed the wheels of their chariots so that they had difficulty driving. "Let's get away from the Israelites," the Egyptians shouted. "The Lord is fighting for them against Egypt." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Stretch out your hand over the sea, so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen." Moses stretched out his hand, and at daybreak the sea went back to its place. The waters returned and covered the entire army of Pharaoh. Not one of them survived. On that day, Israel saw the great power the Lord displayed against the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord and put their trust in him and in his servant Moses. Then Moses and the Israelites sang a song to the Lord. "I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. Both horse and driver he has hurled into the sea." Miriam, Aaron's sister, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her, with timbrels and dancing, singing, "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. Both horse and driver he has hurled into the sea." Their journey, however, had just begun. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without water. When they came to Marah, the water was bitter. The people grumbled against Moses. "When are we to drink?" Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became fit to drink. But soon the whole community grumbled again, this time from hunger. "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted, but you have brought us out into this wilderness to starve this entire assembly to death." The Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you." That evening, quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning, a layer of dew lay around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost lay on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw it, they said, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given you to eat." They called it manna, and they would eat it for 40 years. Yet again, at Rephidim, there was no water, and the people quarreled with Moses, on the verge of stoning him. The Lord told Moses to strike the rock at Horeb with his staff, and when he did, water gushed out for the people to drink. It was here that the Amalekites came and attacked. Moses instructed Joshua to choose men and fight them. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning, but whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When his arms grew tired, Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on each side, until sunset, and so Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Word of these great deeds reached Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, who then came to the camp, bringing Moses' wife and 2 sons with him. Moses told him everything the Lord had done. Jethro rejoiced and said, "Now I know that the Lord is greater than all other gods." But he also saw that Moses was wearing himself out, judging the people's disputes from morning till evening. He gave Moses wise counsel. Select capable men to serve as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They could judge the simple cases, bringing only the difficult ones to Moses. Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. In the 3rd month after leaving Egypt, the Israelites arrived in the desert of Sinai and camped before the mountain. There the Lord called to Moses from the mountain and said, "You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. You will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." The people responded in unison, "We will do everything the Lord has spoken." The Lord then told Moses to have the people consecrate themselves, for on the third day he would descend upon Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. On the morning of the third day there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord descended on it in fire. The whole mountain trembled violently as the trumpet blast grew louder and louder. Then the Lord descended to the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top. From the thick darkness God spoke, "I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery." He then gave them the 10 Commandments, the foundation of his covenant. "You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself an idol. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not give false testimony. You shall not covet." When the people saw the thunder and lightning, and heard the trumpet, and saw the mountain in smoke, they trembled with fear. They stayed at a distance and said to Moses, "Speak to us yourself, and we will listen. But do not have God speak to us, or we will die." Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was, becoming the mediator for a people who had just witnessed the awesome and terrifying glory of their Redeemer.